I'm Sanjay. I'm VP Engineering of Jugnoo, as already introduced. I'm here to talk about how Jugnoo is leveraging different technologies as a startup, and for various internal operations in Jugnoo. So when you startups, every new startup, as a startup, you look into look for different technologies, which you can basically every startup has a cost issue. You don't have enough funding with you, so you try to look for cheaper options. And there are a lot of different things in a company where you won't be able to get licenses and everything. So I will be talking about what different how we are leveraging open source for internal operations in the company. So first of all, to give you a background about Jugnoo. So Jugnoo is an on-demand auto rickshaw aggregator, and we are sort of an Uber-like app for auto rickshaws. And we are live in 35 cities now. We started 2 years ago. So this is our basically journey path. So we started October 27th on 2014. So it's almost like this 27th, it would be 2 years. And so right now we are live in 35 cities in India, all the tier 2 cities mainly. And 1 year ago we started with on-demand fruits and vegetable delivery as well. And now we started with meals delivery, and we started with grocery delivery as well. So right now we are doing the pilot only in Chandigarh city, but once everything is set up there, we'll start expanding it to all the cities. So that's a plan forward. And so yeah, this is basically our product. So in the Jugnoo app, you can book an auto, order fresh fruits and vegetables. You can order grocery. You can order meals as well, lunch and dinner. And the idea behind starting Jugnoo was that we already have a set of 15,000 auto drivers registered in our system, and we want to leverage those and increase their income. And the way we want to do that is one way is to do the auto rides. But apart from that, we also want to leverage the drivers into different tasks like deliveries. So we can easily use auto drivers for deliveries, and so all the fresh fruits and vegetable delivery, grocery delivery, everything would be done is being done through auto rickshaws, and that way their number of rides and their online time is increasing, and their income is increasing. So this is basically our team, and yeah. So talking about the technologies in various aspects where Jugnoo is using open source, is one of the main aspect is ERP. So right now, we have been 2 years old company now, and we are live in 35 cities. There are 35 offices we have in each city, operation wise. We need to pay payments to drivers. So basically, at this stage, we realize that we now need an ERP system, integrated system, where everything can happen on one system instead of happening HR is using a different system, recruitment is using a different system, accounting is being done through a different system, and for a startup like us or any other startups, it's very difficult to use SAP. SAP is too costly. SAP or NetSuite, basically these ERPs are very, very costly. So we looked for an open source solution for that, and there are basically two open source ERPs that are available in the market. One is Odoo, and another one is ERP Next. And we tried out both of them, how it looks. But the problem with Odoo was that although it had all the functionalities and it was ahead of ERP Next, but it was not user friendly. In terms of that, its UI was pretty old, and even if we get that implemented in the company, nobody would gonna use it in the company, and basically the adoption would be a big challenge. So we went ahead with the ERP Next. So earlier for HR operations, we were using Grey HR, which is one of the tool, and for recruitment management, we were using Lever, which is also a paid company. So they charge around $500 a month earlier. Plus the thing was, the data was in different systems. It was not a central place. Employee data was somewhere else. It was being managed in Excel sheets, and all the payouts that was going to all the employees were going through the different system. So then we moved everything to ERP, and now everything is centralized. All the employees, attendance, leave management, recruitment, salary slips, salary payouts, everything is in the same system. So this is the and accounting part is also there. So as I mentioned earlier, like we are also doing fresh fruits and vegetable delivery. So there is a lot of vendor interaction is there. We're also selling to hotels and restaurants in Chandigarh. So to manage the B2B aspect of it, like the purchase invoices, sales invoices, and sales order, POS entries, everything is being done in the ERP itself. So we basically took the ERP Next platform, and we have an internal team of 3 members internally, which is working on customizing the ERP as per our requirement and building that. So yeah, accounting is also there. The CRM part is also there. So when I was talking about B2B deliveries, so we are also offering deliveries as a service to other vendors like restaurants. So basically, all the restaurant can use autos to do their meal food delivery, and for that we are to get vendors on board, we are just following the sales process normally, and for that also we are using ERP. Apart from the ERP, the next thing was analytics. And analytics has been a huge part, critical part in Jugnoo success, because from the starting, we have been strong with the analytics. So we are using on the backend side, we are using BigQuery as a database, and initially we created all the analytics ourselves. Like whenever we need to add a new graph or new KPI for tracking, we used to manually create the UI for that, manually create the API database, queries for that, and create the graphs. So this was like our old dashboard where we had around 200 graphs or different 200 KPIs that we were tracking for, and we have built everything from custom zero, and it was taking a lot of time because. And we thought, analytics shouldn't take that much time, creating that. Instead, we should focus more on creating just the KPIs, like what data point that we need, instead of spending time on each time creating the product itself. So what we did was like we searched for all the open source alternative for that, and we came to Redash.io. Redash, what it does is like you connect it to a database, and it's a very powerful tool, front-end framework where it can integrate with any data source. So you can connect all your data sources like BigQuery, MySQL, Mongo, MariaDB, Postgres, and you just write queries and it generate graphs or dashboards for you. So this is one of the dashboard created through Redash, and this is basically and the way it works is like you can just define what type of graph do you need. Do you need a graph? Do you need sales funnels? Everything. So this is our HR funnels that are there. Then creating the graphs is pretty easy. So you just write a query, as simple as writing query on database, and then you can select like what type of visualization do you need. So in this case, this is just a simple query that I wrote for plotting all the orders we got in the last 1 week for meals, and it plotted everything on the map. And it was so easy, and this would be added into a dashboard, as simple as that. So it has made our analytics part pretty easy for us. And yeah, the next thing where we are using open source is Kibana. So basically from the application side, we are getting a lot of different debugging logs on the server monitoring from the server side, and it's really hard to figure out what happens with particular ride. So let's say you took an auto ride, and there was some issue with the server, or the payment was not deducted properly from your wallet. So, and customer filed a complaint for that, and now we need to go into the system and see like what happened with that particular ride. So it's really impossible to scroll through all the logs, like check each and everything, like what happened with that. So what we did was like we implemented Elastic and Search and Kibana, and all our logs basically are put through Kibana. So if you want to just search for a ride, you just search for a ride ID, and it will show you all the different API calls that were made for that involved that particular ride ID. And you'll be able to know, like, when the ride was started, what happened at that time, when the ride was accepted, started, completed, when the driver rejected something, So it make the developer's life very, very easy. So instead of earlier it used to take around 1 or 2, 3 hours for developer to figure out the exact issue. Now he can just do that in 10 minutes. So I think my colleague, my friend would be talking more about Kibana in the next talk. But yeah, and apart from that, maps is basically an integral part of Jugnoo, because customer is booking a ride on map, and the home screen itself is a map. Everything is happening using the map. And so we actually purchased the Google paid license for that, which cost around $10,000 in a year. Plus, but still, that was not fulfilling our requirement, because we were somehow exceeding their per second limit. So they have around a limit of 100 API hits per second or something like that. And we needed more than that, because we are running our whole algorithm based on map API. Like whenever a customer requests a ride, we need to search for all the 50 drivers in the nearby area and then see like who can reach out to that place in the fastest time or not. And for that, each ride for each time, there are multiple algorithms are there, but this is a broad example where like for each ride we are approximately making 50 API calls for to Google Maps, and our system is doing around 30,000 rides every day. So it basically it was exceeding the Google Maps limit, and to increase that limit, Google is charging $5,000 extra for I think 10 more API calls per second, and which was not very feasible. So we turned to OpenStreetMap, and this is open source routing machine, OSRM technology, which actually provides the same results as Google. The only difference is that it doesn't have the traffic data. So if you want to find the path from point A to point B, it can give you that. The only difference is that ETA would not consider traffic. It would just consider the distance part, which is fine for almost all the part in the algorithm except the final outcome. So what we have done is like we are using a composite algorithm where we are using OSRM for all the internal calculation, and for the front end and everything we are using Google Maps. So basically we just created a composite solution for mapping part. Yeah. Another thing is that when I talk about meal delivery, fresh deliveries, the main challenge was that if you look at meals, our meals cost is 70 rupees a meal. So a customer can order a 70 rupees a meal, and that's also including delivery charges. So it's very difficult to make profit there, because 70 rupees a meal, 40 rupees basically the raw material cost. So we only have 30 rupees as a margin there, and we need to do the delivery in that as well. So the challenge for us was that how do we reduce the delivery charges that we are incurring on all our orders. So the one option was that whenever we have a delivery slot, let's say this is 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. delivery slot where we need to have 50 orders that need to be delivered. So what we do is like we batch those orders in groups. So, and it's basically a simple vehicle routing problem, and we create different batches of deliveries, so that one driver can go and do the 5-10 deliveries. But the problem was that how do you optimize that, like what 5 deliveries you should do, and also in which order the driver should do those deliveries. So for that, we looked into different route optimization APIs, but most of the APIs that are available right now on the internet are charging, again, it's pretty costly. And as a startup, to give you an example, they are charging around $40 per vehicle per month. So if we start giving them that much, just for the subscription cost, we'll not have any margin in that business. So what we did was like we took out an open source library. There's a Java-based open source library for route optimization. So we took that, and we wrote a wrapper around that to create the APIs for routing, and we started using that. Plus, as soon as we started using that, we realized that this is not actually fulfilling our requirement. So what we did was we introduced different variables into the system, like travel time, order start time, end time, or vehicle capacity, all the different variables. And now we have got that point that right now all our meal deliveries are transaction positive. So we are doing around 200 orders a day in meals, and that's 70 rupees. The average ticket size is 100 rupees basically. And still we are profitable. I think not much profitable, but still very profitable at this scale itself. So it's not like, so obviously as a scale grows, the delivery cost will go down further, and we'll have more profits at that point. So that was a challenge that we had in all the deliveries: meal delivery, fresh fruits and vegetable delivery, grocery delivery. So we created our own wrapper around open source JSprit library, and now we also opened the APIs for everybody else to use as a flight map. So that's a tool name. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all about. So basically, these are the 5 areas where we are Jugnoo is leveraging open source. Apart from this, all the backend, everything is being written in the whole backend is written in Node.js plus MySQL, and frontend is written in AngularJS. So essentially, all the technologies of open source. Yeah, yeah. I think that's it from my side. Any questions?
My question is how easy it is to generate the funding for startup.
Well, it's not that easy enough, obviously, to investors. So we are actually doing pretty well in that terms. So just to give you an example, so our competitions is basically with Ola and Uber, basically. So whenever you go to investors, they ask like, Uber and Ola can crush you at any time. But the thing is that their Ubers and Ola's cost per, so they are burning around 150 rupees, 100 to 150 rupees every ride, by giving drivers incentivization and reducing the pricing on the customer side. But in our case, we are doing around 35,000 rides every day, and our burn is less than 1 rupee every ride. So because we are able to optimize the efficiency in terms of operations, plus we are still at this point at the scale, also we are able to sustain. So that's a key part in that. Plus at the same time, we are also looking out for the other alternative, like we already have the network of 50,000 auto drivers, and how can we leverage that to get the other profitable businesses? Because in fruits and vegetable delivery, grocery delivery, there's a huge margin. So if we can leverage our existing supply of auto drivers to deliver those orders, we'll be able to make huge profits from those. So that's the angle that we pitch to investors.
The presentation of good module is the key, right?
Yeah.
Besides these areas, you're not using Linux as a standard operating system in your organization to use process?
Not really, because we are using Mac for that actually. The reason for that is that first of all, we also need to develop the iOS applications and everything. Plus, Mac works in terms of development and everything. Mac works really well. So we haven't shifted to Linux in that term. Basically, the hardware. It's not about the Linux or Mac. It's about the hardware. The hardware for the Linux is not that well. So it would obsolete. It become obsolete after 2 years. But in case of Mac, it will run. You won't have faced any issues for 5 years types.
What I understand is you love Apple.
Yeah.
Put it in short.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot.
It's a wonderful speech. Yeah.